Back with us on this issue again tonight, the editor-in-chief of Think Progress, Faiz Shakir. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Keith.
Before we go big picture, explain, if you'd be so kind, the reporting behind the claim of 84 foreign companies kicking in $885,000 minimum to the Chamber of Commerce.
Sure. You've been following this as closely as I have. You know that the Chamber's response since we released our report last week has been just trust us. We've got a system in place. And what we've done is said, we don't really trust you. Well, let's look at what you're saying. And over the past week, the Chamber of Commerce has said, we're getting $100,000 from AmChams. That's our foreign money. That's been the claim that they've told the New York Times, the Washington Post, AP, and anybody who's listening, is that they only get $100,000 from AmChams. And what we did in this report is we documented 8 times as much, $800,000 coming from 84 companies. And the 84 companies is particularly important because just yesterday, Bruce Johnson, who you mentioned in your clip, was telling Fox News that they only have 60 foreign-based corporations who give them money. So on 2 counts here, Keith, we know that they're not telling the full truth, and so why trust them?
There's been some skepticism about whether or not anybody cares about this here. Why the skepticism, and are they right about the not caring?
Well, Keith, you know that on both sides of the aisle, everyone's saying this election is about economy and jobs. There's somebody who's in favor of outsourcing jobs overseas and fighting for companies' tax loopholes that ship jobs overseas, and that's the Chamber. There's somebody who's fighting against health care protections for Americans. That's the Chamber. There's somebody who's fighting against or fighting for lowering the corporate tax loopholes or lowering the corporate taxes, increasing the amount of taxes for the rich. That's the Chamber. There's somebody who's fighting for taxpayer bailouts every time corporations spill oil in the Gulf or whenever they screw up with a large financial crisis. That's the Chamber. Tell me that the Chamber is not important in this election. I hope that people do what Russ Feingold did, is demand that the Chamber disclose who their donors are. That's the critical issue here. We want to know what their agenda is.
And that new polling suggests nearly half voters would vote against somebody, or be more likely to vote against somebody if they knew the money was coming from some secret source, as is the case with the Chamber. Your organization was invoked particularly by Mr. Johnston and Mr. Rove. Respond to them. Why does it matter whether they disclose their donors, but not if you disclose or don't disclose yours?
Sure. The Center for American Progress, of which I'm a part, does not run political ads on television. The law stipulates that if you run ads on television, you must first adhere to the law that says you disclose your donors, and second, that the donors who give to you must abide by contribution limits. And what the Chamber, and particularly what Karl Rove certainly is trying to do, is avoid that law and take in gobs of corporate money, and in the Chamber's case, in some cases, foreign money, to influence the elections. And that's what we think is skirting the law. The Center for American Progress, we're not running those ads. They're running $75 million worth, $10.5 million just this week. That's more than the RNC. I mean, these guys are major players, and that's why the law should apply to what they're doing.
And the new PS to this, shareholders starting to reject the use of the money in this way by their corporations. Then the son of one of the Supreme Court justices, who's working for a group funded by the very same rich guys we've been talking about, gets a suit going that stops the shareholders in their tracks. That's just a coincidence, I assume.
You know, after Citizens United, we learned that corporations are individuals, and now we know that the individuals who lead these corporations are treating their corporations as individuals. Like the Chamber is taking on the personality of Karl Rove. You know, we got the health insurance companies acting like John Boehner. I think at the end of the day, this isn't about accounting gimmicks. It's about who these companies are accountable to. Are they just accountable in the shadows, like nobody's going to pay attention to them? They can just do what they want in secret, or are we going to force them out into the public and know what their agenda is? And I would hope that we keep the pressure up. We're going to learn who are these secret actors. Including on Justice Scalia, who believes himself a law and a constitution unto himself. Faiz Shakir, editor-in-chief of Think Progress. Great thanks again for your time tonight. Thank you, Keith.